Hey yo! Though it's perfectly fine if you only watch this video, there's another video where I talk about the first thing I didn't want for Tomodachi Life Living the Dream.
That argument was so long and too controversial to put in here. All the comments would have been about it, so I found it a good idea to split them in two. I kinda expect people to chew me out about it and I'm kinda scared, but regardless, here you are.
If you wanna watch that, I recommend you watch it first, but if you don't, strap on and enjoy. I wanted to make a 10 things I want in Tomodachi Dreams kind of video, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized I want anything from this game. Almost anything they could do, I could genuinely get behind for. I'd love to have a bunch of new unexpected mechanics, even if they fundamentally change big parts of the experience, assuming it's not too drastic. I never thought I wanted customization of the island. Even now, though I am obviously ecstatic to customize my little island, it's not a mechanic I particularly needed. My disregard for such a massive change made me realize I trust the developers. There's no such thing as 10 things I want. I want everything. I cast pot of greed! If I wanted to discuss my ideal sequel, I mean, the video's been there for 3 years now. This is the 10 things I want video, except I talk about like 300 things I want. And what remains is what I don't want. Little bits of concerns that come from the current state of Nintendo, mechanics from all games that aren't quite the best, or even popular fan requests that I don't believe would fit in the context of the game. Here's 9 things I don't want in Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Quick note before we start that YouTube's algorithm in 2025 is big broken, but you can support the channel for free by simply watching other videos. I've released 4 bad videos in the past 3 years, so just like you made me a favor by watching this one, I'm doing you one by telling you to check out my other stuff. Trust me, it is worth it. Whew! That transition hasn't shown up in the channel in years, has it? One of the main things I've seen Nintendo be awfully obtuse about regarding Tomodachi Dreams is like, what's the system situation here? They keep it in the big Switch portion, where they put stuff that's not intended for any of the 2 consoles, like the Mario Galaxies. And this could mean either a really good thing or a really bad thing. The good outcome is that the game releases the same in both consoles and everyone has the same unifying experience and everyone's happy, even if they're in the inferior console. The bad outcome is the first thing I wouldn't want. Switch 2 Update Pack. I don't like the concept of a Switch 2 upgrade version on new releases. I understand it for games like the Zelda since they released first on Switch 1, but then I see what they are trying to pull off with Pokemon Sa or with Mario Bros. Wonder, and I get confused. It feels like this upgrade version aren't just versions with better graphics, performance, and compatibility with Switch 2, but actually a sneaky way to sell additional DLC that's console locked without any real reason. I don't think Tomodachi Dreams will be a title that pushes the system's limits or anything like that. I've already said that Tomodachi is the sort of game that could honestly run on a potato if need be, so a Switch 2 update pack would likely need extra content to sell. I want to note that this concern doesn't extend to general DLC for the game. I'd love if Tomodachi Dreams kept giving us new events and situations in the form of DLC and updates, preferably updates though. The idea of a Tomodachi game that keeps getting more content, especially after events start repeating themselves like in past titles, is fantastically appealing. I just don't want a group of players to get a worse experience as a result. Regardless, I'm saying that even if the update pack is only for performance updates, it's not really necessary. A unified version that supports both systems when you slip it in there is all that's needed instead of confusing labels that just make it weirder to purchase the game.
Goes without saying I'm talking feature-wise. Imagine playing on 720 on your Switch 2, that'd be stupid. Only content we'd actually miss out on is mic-related stuff, which that's a trade I wouldn't really mind making.
I guess the third secret option is the game outright not releasing on Switch 2, something I've actually heard people consider. No, it's not gonna happen. I don't know how this became a possibility in people's minds. One of the most requested features for Tomodachi 3 is allowing the player to physically walk around the island in first person. This is a request that I actively discuss against, as I feel it's not quite right for this installment of Tomodachi, maybe for a future game. So why not? I think this has a lot to do with the player's role within the universe of Tomodachi, part of the feel and justification for why the game is designed as it is. Tomodachi Life on 3DS always wanted to have the player feel like this sort of parent figure the Mii selected. This is why the first thing the game shows you about your objectives is your lookalike having a child. You're an overseer that should feel proud and happy to see your Miis enjoying themselves. So what happens when you put first person roam and the player itself becomes a direct part of the universe? The illusion that you and these creatures are different is completely shattered. You become one of the Miis, but one whom other Miis for some reason wouldn't want to play with or even start a conversation with. Not to mention, your lookalike would get so much shit. Imagine a deity comes from the sky and has your exact face and now everyone's disappointed when they see you because you don't have infinite food and apartments stashed away in your back pocket like the other guy. This also would have a second adverse effect. Life as a game has multiple nods to giants in the worlds of Miis, and the Miis themselves being tiny. The player at the same time can see the entire island from afar, as well as fit inside the homes of the Miis. How they fit into the world physically is big on purpose, and that adds a lot of mystique and uniqueness to the presentation. It's easy to think presentation is simply the graphics and mechanics of a game, but when you consider that even the window you look into the game world with is part of the experience, I think it becomes clear enough why adding a first-person mode may actually take away from the atmosphere. I see a lot of people compare this to Animal Crossing, but the difference is that there, the player directly controls the character. Even if you're human and different from all the other animals, players are still made to feel like they fit into this world and are part of it, the same way NPCs are. A very different situation to what happens in Tomodachi. That leads to another argument I hear a lot, where people argue you should be able to become your lookalike to do this. I feel like this misses the same point in an entirely different way. But I do have a more controversial point that connects into this argument coming up. So for now, let's neatly tie this argument to the wall and talk to it later while we try to see how much ransom its family is willing to pay for the rescue. Hold on, this joke does not work backwards. Quickly, we must send it to the past! My final point is asking, what does this add to the experience? I understand this perspective when I look at games like Wii Sports Resort. The location is realistic and immersive to the point where you see Miis traverse it by foot. It makes players want to be part of that universe further. And again, in that game, you directly control a character that represents you. In Tomodachi, the island doesn't even make logical sense. I've discussed this earlier this year in this video where I made the island by memory. Furthermore, LTD doesn't even have a predetermined island, giving the customization is all but confirmed. In addition to better camera controls, the world will no longer become more immersive through this feature. As the person who created the world, the longing to be a part of it just won't be the same. And thus, the only thing that this feature would add is yet another option in the settings that's gonna disconnect players further from the experience if they enable it. It's time for what's more of a pet peeve than an actual feature that would damage what I like about Tomodachi if it was put in. It's one of those silly things that probably only matter to me and a handful of other people, and I'm talking about a specific function of the catalog, which I never see anyone talking about anywho. When I look it up, there's more results for specifically the Mandala catalog and its characters. In case you don't know, cause you've played very little Tomodachi Live, so Dream hits you harder or something, anything you buy in Tomodachi Live gets added to a catalog within the shop, which means that once you've gotten an item, say food or clothing, you're free to buy any duplicates you want in the future. And that's where the peeve comes in, with its stupid little face and stupid little hands and I hate this idiot. If you only buy the orange variety of a clothing item, then you gotta wait for it to be in the shop again so you can buy the other colors. Why though? I never really understood why this was a thing, made worse because in addition to the first wait, getting any of the other colors requires you to actually purchase it when it's available on the shop and only then, which is severely stupid. It made clothing around islands slightly more repetitive, and if that wasn't enough, it then proceeded to make game completion quite a bit harder for those wanting to give that thing a go for some reason. The reason is stupidity, and I am the biggest stupid. With how the new game lets you mix and match clothing similarly to Miitomo, I'm hoping colors become more accessible and that their cataloging is a bit more comfortable, in case you don't have all the money in the world with you when the cool hats show up. It's not like they need to keep the game different from other players' playthroughs through cheap methods like these anymore, so I'm hoping they just let us be happy instead. Okay, are you ready to not be surprised? Remember version exclusivity? And can we not? I think I said at some point with the last trailers video that something I wanted in the game was to be able to make me speak in any TTS accent, regardless of game region. This would make sense since Switch games aren't region locked. There's no such thing as NTSC or PAL versions. The game download inevitably should include every language and accent if I am correct in this assumption. Then it becomes a matter of whether the designers let the game load all of the data or if they saw it as too much of a hassle and now we don't get that cool feature. I kinda lost hope about this point when I saw the voice making menu in the new trailer. Unless these two new accents are British, it doesn't seem like we'll get to mix and match accents. A shame. That kinda led me to think about how they're going to handle the rest of region exclusive features though. My theory is that they'll simply skip most Japanese and Korean food items in all versions and not give us any of that, but Slime, that stinks a little. Miis have always been a celebration of people, the way you can make almost anyone you want through the super limited features of the system, and of course, their culture kinda goes hand in hand with that. What an awesome opportunity to teach people about food and culture from around the world. I know I've never had, say, Lokomoko, but seeing it in Tomodachi Life let me know it was a thing. And if I ever go to Hawaii searching for my brother who got lost in a volcano and end up getting involved with a group of drug-dealing teens in a scheme involving a magical lock rock, I sure as hell have it on my bucket list to go and try some for myself. Extend this to many of the Japanese and Korean meals that most of us aren't familiar with. I want to have the game show me chikuwa, and then I want to spend the next 3 to 20 years wanting to try some chikuwa after I get a real job and actually have money to take a trip to Korea. But let's ignore food for a moment. Tomodachi also has this nifty little feature where items have descriptions, a perfect opportunity to showcase treasures like the Berlin Wall piece or the pics from the Korean version and explain their cultural background just enough to get us interested. You know, you don't have to be the whole Wikipedia page. Having this silly game connect and explore people from different cultures would be an absolute treat, so I'm hoping region exclusivity is behind us. I wanna know the meme the second trailer for Dreams gets handed a Napa cabbage, which is only in the Korean version of Tomodachi Life. This could mean nothing, and they just made the US equivalent stuffed cabbage roll look like that, but I'm running on those fumes so hard right now. Please do not read my console's region for no reason. So earlier I may have released this video about why I don't want makeup in Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, and that made me think of a specific thing I don't want from Tomodachi Dreams that I hope I don't end up doing by mistake. Content slop, please keep it away. One of the things I've noticed about Tomodachi Life is that it's got a lot of low quality videos coming its way given it's gonna be the popular release of spring 2026. The reason I decided not to just do a trailer analysis here is because I don't really want to become that one guy that just milks the trending topic. I will proceed to try and make the best videos I can about Tomodachi for the next year or so, but I've decided I am willing to risk treating my work like art more than like a job, even if it's really kinda risky. Like, why Tomodachi Dreams shouldn't have makeup is such a good title, Slime. When I look up Tomodachi Life's current content space, holy crap does it look rough. Just a bunch of trailer analysis with super similar thumbnails and red and yellow circles everywhere, I know, guilty. Then the occasional big speculation video, and then there's this one video by Tarot to Boba that is actually quite neat, very recommended video. That's to say, I want more of this, less of this. I know shit's rough, Mayor Mori, YouTube's harsher than ever, but you did just make an hour and 10 minutes worth of content from 3 total minutes of footage. The way to go with current YouTube is either getting lucky or making slop. Call me stupid for choosing the first option, but that's the way I roll. Point is, I'm hoping that after the release of the game, videos about it aren't clickbaity slop, but actually interesting content discussing its mechanics and experimenting with them. I'm sure we'll get tons of people making the weirdest islands for the sake of science, and I am excited to see that. Not as excited to see all the cock and ball islands, but Animal Crossing New Horizons has a massive design problem where the best way to play it is not the intended way. I've already talked about this in another video. Instead of waiting 5 weeks till you get that one item you really want to put in your island, you could just time travel 35 times in a single day and not deal with the game's slow drip of furniture and whatnot. And that leads to having amazing islands that look fucking beautiful. I love this. But at what cost? This is the next thing I wouldn't want in Tomodachi Dreams. Time travel. Tomodachi Life restricts time travel aggressively. Merely changing systems is enough for the game to raise a flag and not update your shops. And it's super evident why. The game loop is designed! Going into the game every day, solving a bunch of issues, and eventually leaving you with nothing to do, so you either come back in a few hours or wait till the next day. It's no biggie, few things change every day, you just get new stuff to buy in shops, then the quiet monthly paint job whenever seasons change. Just enough for you to get used to playing every day for 20 minutes. That's the game's goal. However, island customization is liable to change that a lot. It depends massively on how the mechanic is handled. So here's my theory. Every day we're gonna get a set number of ground and exterior furniture tiles at quick build, with any building you unlock being always available as a single purchase from a different tab. Think the special interiors from like when you level up, except limited. The good thing here would be that major unlocks would require the player to level up Mies and do certain specific activities, which is all gameplay. The bad thing is that players are presumably going to drool at the idea of skipping to the next day so their quick build updates, and they can continue making immediate progress. That's precisely why I don't want time travel. It would be super sad if some players blasted through the game without spending the time when you're actually doing nothing and just seeing your Mies fuck around. Tomodachi is not really an objective focused game where you're constantly trying to achieve something. Any achievements usually happen in the middle of tomfoolery when you just lock into certain things happening or Ami has one of the cool troubles. It's a hyper casual game, and I would love for that to continue being its reputation. The real tragedy would be if they return the power outage news from collection. That one has a way to piss you off every time it shows up like, motherfucker, do you think I wanted this? The new trailer has this little icon here and it makes me so worried. Not seeing my son lost to this monster to the man behind the slaughter would make me less concerned than this stupid less than 200 by 200 pixel graphic. I hate that Miis don't care about age gaps in Tomodachi life. Being able to have a little family tree or Miis not dating someone they're way younger or older than would be almost #1 on my top 10 things I want list. But if there's something about the mechanic that I see backwards, something that I really don't want, it's specifically the Kid-o-Matic. I don't mind it as much forwards. Miis being turned into adults with age-o-matics actually makes perfect sense because some players will enjoy letting generations grow up naturally. The cutscene when two Miis decide to want to grow up together so they can get married is honestly kinda wholesome. But the Kid-o-Matic instead is such a weird little creature. It inevitably leads to uncomfortable situations. Dialogue has to be minced by having Miis in relationships be vague about why they don't want to use it, when it's clearly because they don't want underage characters dating overage ones, even if the game makes it clear enough that they aren't actually children and just in the body of a kid, which arguably makes it worse. I don't want to talk about this, it makes me icky. And really, what gameplay advantage does this give us? You get that one cute cutscene, but I don't think all that awkwardness is worth it. Besides, most players I've talked about either don't like the mechanic or only use it by mistake and become confused about it. Slime, it's not a good mechanic. Maybe I would accept it if it came back as a day-long sort of thing, you know, it automatically wears off after a day and like Miis who are under its effect don't do any sort of romantic activity, but that's about it. And to be honest, I think I would much prefer to have new items to give my Miis instead. Oh well. I love how random Tomodachi is sometimes, the way stuff just happens on screen and there's nothing you can do to stop it, but at the same time, if it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be happening. Your presence is necessary for the island's progression. This is one of those comments I got a bunch in my Tomodachi tree concept video, people being worried that the player would have too much input, and to be fair, I had the exact same concern while writing the design there. I wanted for the player to have goals to pursue while also making sure they only play a small part in those goals, enough so that the player matters, but not so little that the player can push for those goals whatsoever. I guess this is my way to say that players having controls over the Mii's lives should be kept relatively low, not in the sense that you shouldn't be able to dictate if something should happen or not, but more in the sense that you shouldn't be able to dictate if something could happen or not, except maybe inter-family relationships. At its core, what I don't want is too much control over the Tomodachi universe. This game seems to be a lot more customizable than life, and therefore I don't want the player to be the sole reason why Miis wear certain clothes or get along with certain people. One of the silliest things about life has always been the makeup gift, where Miis put on the ugliest makeup they can fathom, and it looks awful in an endearing way, like when you see a kid with makeup on, and of course it sucks, but you can't help but be amused at their efforts. Something similar happens with outfits to some extent. Miis sometimes just wear ridiculous styles, but they couldn't mix and match in the Mitomo style like they seem to be able to do now. One could see this as a bit of an annoyance, but having a Mii go out with the dumbest outfit imaginable, completely oblivious of the situation, would be absolutely so incredibly funny. That's the kind of moment I don't want to lose by getting too much agency. Similarly, Tomodachi Collection has a really cool feature where friends of a Mii's friend actually could become introduced to one another, even if the player didn't will it. I just think that extra edge of personality added a lot to the super simplified relationship system from Collection. Imagining that on an even better system gets me pumped up, not gonna lie. Another silly thing having little control over the simulation achieves is randomness hitting harder. Sure, the wacky and absurdist feel to everything does make a lot of the work, but I believe randomness adds an extra layer to that. Predictable events like Street Life are fine because slice of life fundamentally involves monotony to some extent, but randomness can make even a repetitive weekday into something unusual and unique, especially with a new system where the entire game is happening outside. Miis having the ability to start events without any player input would be exciting and keep the game super fresh for longer. With just those 3 layers of chaos, you've got unique Miis, unique schedules, and unique relationships, different for each player. That would be ideal for me, far more than telling everyone what to do, where, and who to hang out with. Alright, number 1 should be reserved for the worst mechanic in Tomodachi. Let me just think a Oh, I know, the last thing I don't want! The fucking Catch Minigame! Holy shit! No one's here at the moment. This is incredible, and I'm not just being sarcastic. This screen here, where absolutely nothing is going on, is lovely and perfect. Not as a moment of relaxation or anything like that. As someone who's played a lot of this game, I only see the screen by mistake or trying to get to quirky questions. It makes the game feel so alive. Living the Dream has an art style that changes a lot from older games. The neat cel shading and minimalist textures are weird choices considering Life's world looks dashing with just a basic upscale, but ultimately not something I hate cause it does carry a dreamy and easygoing vibe. Besides, the island that's being used on the wreck seems very deliberately made to reveal little information about the game. I remind you, we have not even seen nighttime. But this framing and graphical art style scares me to bits. I'm bunny thumping my foot right now, you just can't see it. I'm not terrified of the island being everything the game has to offer. I know I'd be, well, tremendously disappointed, but I'm not scared about it. I am confident we'll see more in the future longer trailers. What I'm scared about is any island, not this one specifically, being all there is. One of the delightful bits that effortlessly made Tomodachi's world feel more lived in was the fact that sometimes, somewhere, there was nothing going on. Occasionally, they talk about places that shouldn't exist or take pictures of locations that shouldn't be real in the space, or presented with live-action pictures that carry that fleeting but uncanny feel, as if the world you see is more real than you could ever imagine, and as if you don't belong in it. This feeling of being an intruder who isn't just randomly spying on the surrounding happenings, but instead someone who was invited to join in. I feel like I'm going crazy explaining this, but hopefully it makes sense. I love that the player in Tomodachi doesn't feel like a god or an intruder, but simply someone who is part of the wild ride. All the mains welcome you with open arms. Even as you see their anxieties about your nature recur in their dreams, they're right there, happy again in the morning, hoping to continue their lives alongside you. A reminder that I know they are fictional. I am just really getting into my argument here. The oniric nature of Tomodachi is largely a result of the game not happening within the same island. For as much as the Miis evidently exist there first, the implication of more is enough to make the game seem more inviting at a fundamental level. Hence why I'd love for moments like this to come back. From all the trailers we've seen so far, the only fake place we've seen is these 2 seconds of the Ray's dream. And even then, at every point some Mii is present. I don't want to be someone who spies on these Miis, I want to be their friend. I want to be their guest instead of the creep who watches them. And the fact that Nintendo hasn't shown us a single instance of this in the trailers makes me more nervous than anything else. You can see Miis inside locations from outside, you can see Miis in their dreams, you can see everything, and I dislike this. I'm really hoping the island isn't all there is. Or maybe I'm just tweaking, I don't know. Point is, that is the 10 things I don't want in Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. That's it. That's all I don't want in this game. My entire negativity about it fits in 37 minutes. And even then most of this stuff wouldn't really matter to me that much. Half of it is gonna be irrelevant by the next trailer. I just wanted to get this out of the way so I can focus on being excited about the game better, because why am I like this? If anything I say here offends you, what the heck, man, this is just an opinion. At the end of the day, nor you nor I gets to decide what this game is about. It's all about the developers. It goes back to that thing I said at the beginning about trusting them. They've shown they are capable of making something really funny, something really endearing and charming, so whatever they decide to put in, be it makeup or cryptids, all I know is I'm gonna have fun with this. And I hope you have fun with me too. So let me say this straight. If you really think that this is a video about me getting angry because now you gotta make the game like I would make it, are you silly? This is more of just a fun thought experiment, so I can go no if something is in the game. It's just a way to get excited about it. Sometimes not wanting something to happen is part of what makes me excited about consuming a piece of media that I'm really excited about. This is literally the most awaited game of my life. Nothing, and I really mean nothing they could do could change that, because even if the game ends up sucking, it sucks. I'm still gonna enjoy it regardless. And to be fair, if you wanna make Tomodachi suck, you really need to put in the effort. I don't think Nintendo's MO is that. So yeah, if you're down there with an angry comment, I'm just gonna assume you don't really watch my content because, buddy, watch any of my other Tomodachi videos. I am literally the most excited man in this planet about this game. It's one of my favorite things of all time and I can't wait for the sequel. Instead of focusing on the 37 minutes where I've been negative about this game, how about you go watch, I don't know, this 5-hour video about how much I love the Miis? Just, you know, 5 hours of me constantly going, I love Miis and I love their games. Mr. Negative over here. Haha. Whatever. And I've never made a Tomodachi video that's going to age as much as this one, but I don't care, I'm gonna eat this month, with Patreons.